With over 100 million albums sold, Shania Twain ranks among the best-selling music artists of all time. She first gained widespread recognition in the mid-90s with her breakthrough album, The Woman in Me, which was released in 1995. Her status as a music superstar soared even higher with her follow-up album, Come On Over, in 1997. This record-breaking album features iconic hits like Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and That Don't Impress Me Much. Notably, Shania also holds the Guinness World Record for the best-selling studio album by a female solo artist. Achieving such milestones is impressive for any artist, but Shania's success is even more remarkable given her challenging childhood. In a recent interview with the Daily Mail, she opened up about her traumatic upbringing. Shania described a home environment fraught with hardship, recalling, "Grocery day was an event in our house. Sometimes weeks would pass without groceries, and we'd be down to moldy bread. If there was only mustard in the fridge, we'd put that on the bread and take it to school." She recounts how her mother used to bring her to perform at bars when she was very young to earn money for the family. If they didn't make enough to cover the gas, she dreaded the punishment she would face from her stepfather upon returning home. Her mother managed to circumvent child labor laws by having her perform after last call, typically between midnight and 1 a.m., when alcohol was no longer being served. She described the environment as uncomfortable, noisy, and filled with smoke and the lingering smell of beer and stale alcohol. On a typical night, she would get home around 2 a.m., only to have to wake up for school just 4 hours later. By the time she graduated, she had attended 17 different schools. She also spoke about the abuse she suffered from her stepfather. She said, "If he had a job and needed to get to work the next morning, how was he supposed to do that if we took the gas and I didn't get paid? It was like playing Russian roulette, and often it ended badly. The household would become violent and chaotic, creating a dangerous and traumatic environment. Police frequently showed up in the middle of the night." She reflected on her mixed feelings about her mother's drive to make her the next Tanya Tucker. Shania left home at 18 in 1983, setting out to perform with various bands. However, in 1987, she received devastating news. Her mother, Sharon, and her stepfather, Jerry, had died in a car crash. Despite the trauma of her past, the loss was profoundly painful. Shania reflected, "Experiencing the sudden loss of loved ones leaves a lasting impact. It's a stark reminder that tragedy can strike at any time and in any way." She returned home to care for her 3 younger siblings, noting, "When my parents passed away, I came back to keep us together. My older sister had married and started her own family, so it was just the 4 of us living together for 3 years." Shania also spoke about the challenges she faced in Nashville as a Canadian trying to break into the music industry. She remarked, "It's incredibly rare for a Northern Canadian girl in her late 20s to land a record deal in Nashville. It felt like I was chasing the impossible." Despite her difficult upbringing, she claimed she never struggled with anger issues. "I've been angry, but I've always been productive. I don't think I've ever had real anger issues. I don't credit myself with overcoming anger or holding no grudges. It's just part of who I am. As a young woman, there were many occasions when I felt intimidated by men. The idea of performing at a bar for a crowd of drunk men was daunting. But even though I was young, I wasn't about to throw a tantrum." Reflecting on the success of her album, The Woman in Me, she shared with Fox News, "I never imagined that the making of The Woman in Me would become such a defining moment in my life and career. It changed everything. I had no idea if it would succeed, and when it did, I certainly didn't foresee that 25 years later, I'd be celebrating a diamond edition." She continued, "I'm incredibly grateful. Back then, as success started to build with that album, I was so busy that I couldn't fully appreciate the moment. It's only now that I can truly celebrate what happened."